All right, good morning. This one's being done purposely without video for a number of reasons. Today is Sunday, September 1st, 2024, on the Gregorian matrix calendar, on the 13 moon galactic Dreamspell calendar. It's Lunar 10. Can't even believe it's Lunar 10. What that means is we've entered the second month of the 13 moon calendar year. So that year is just getting started and building its momentum. And the name of this particular round of the year and the way that the systems, the various cycles that this 13 moon calendar takes into consideration, this iteration is called the Blue Rhythmic Storm Year. Lunar is tone 2. As I mentioned before, there's 13 tones. Each tone is associated with 1 month of the year. Each month has 28 days. That makes 364. And the 365th day, which accounts for the full orbit of the Earth around the sun, is called the Day Out of Time and takes place every year on July 25th in the Gregorian tracking system. Well, Lunar just happens to be my tone. Everybody could use their birth date to calculate their individual kin number. Your kin number is one of 260 box matrix that is created when you take the 20 solar tribes down the side and the 13 tones across the top. This synchronic order matrix has deep meaning and is the key to this tracking system of this thing we call time. But much like an astrological sign, each of us can calculate our kin number, which results in each of us being one of the 20 tribes and being represented by one of the 13 tones of creation. I am white dog, and that my solar tribe happens to be the 10th one, and it's called white dog. And my tone is lunar. And so what that further means is that because we are now in the second month, second tone, lunar month of challenge, that means that because it's my individual tone, things in my way of seeing it, interpreting it, experiencing it, that means my energy, things in my world are going to be amped up a notch or two this month. There's no doubt about it. And so being that the other two words associated with lunar are the tone lunar is polarize, stabilize, challenge. Polarize, stabilize, and challenge are the words associated. The power of my tone is polarize. The action is stabilize. And the essence is challenge. Couldn't find three better words that describe so many aspects of my world, my work, my mission, my destiny, all of it. And of course, it's not accidental. None of it's accidental. Today, I was called to turn this on. Don't know what, if any of this will be shared publicly. But I need to just drop a few notes. And for some reason, as I did my morning meditation, I was guided to capture this in this way. So that's what I'm doing. So none of this is going to make sense. I'm intending it to be just sort of a disjointed list because I do not make to-do lists as I used to do. I haven't made those in a lot of years. So this is an energetic do list that I'm putting out into the ethers for the timing to return to me when it's intended to follow through on each of these things. First, I want to do a 13 moon specific video that goes into and shares a little bit more about, and I want to do this, I would like to do this before I depart for Canada. So in the next day or two, I want to talk about, because we just started a new, we're relatively new still into the second month. We just started a new castle, a new season, and a new wave spell. Now, because those are longer cycles within the system, within the cycle tracking system, 52-day cycle in the castle, 65-day cycle in the season. um, I just want to speak to it and use it as a teaching opportunity for anyone out there that is interested in the 13 moon calendar, which I know I've got a number of folks out there that are, and I'm working my way to try to build both online and live presentations of my 13 moon calendar workshop before the end of the year. I would like all this to get in motion. So that's the step towards that arm of my work. Um, I want to do I want to share. This one feels like it's more for Patreon. I need to get my Patreon page active. It is active. I need to put out my first ask to, and it's specifically going to go to 10 females whose energies I feel most intimately connected to at this stage in my life. The 10 female energies in my world that there is an inside inner criteria that I am using. But in short, what I'm assessing is the strength of the ripple effect that will be had in my life, in their life, and in anything that we collectively touch. These are powerful, powerful women. And like I said, the criteria on a high level is energetic, but specifically to their personalities, it will look very different. Meaning, in some cases, I haven't seen the person in years in the physical. In some cases, they might not be as active in my world, meaning I don't work with them or talk to them regularly on a weekly or certainly monthly basis. So it looks very unique to each of these women, and I need to capture the first video that I will invite them to support me at the $4 level on my Patreon page. I must get the Patreon page up and active. I am ready. I know I am. That is not an outrageous ask by any stretch of the imagination. And soon I'll continue to ask very specific groups of people with very specific things in mind, with a very specific video to them. And there is an element, not so small element, at, related to the masculine and feminine within the event world. And I want to kind of capture that before I'm too far removed from the Chicago event, only because the top two operational positions are held by women. I want to do a video speaking about the power of those two ladies and what they then do by staffing their events, these huge events, in the way that they do. And I want that to serve the Patreon. And first and foremost, out of the many target markets that I could target my story towards, the divine feminine one is a big one. Specifically, what does the divine feminine look like coming through very strong females that have very developed, arguably overdeveloped masculine energy? That is the top target market out of the many that I feel I could speak very powerfully to, because I know myself and these various aspects of myself very well. And that means I know the light, power, beautiful, amazing side, and I know the darker sides that exist with any energy spectrum, right? And it's not a bad thing. The dark is not the bad. The dark is what makes the light light. They define one another. Again, remember the words that describe my tone in this lifetime: polarize, stabilize, challenge. I am able to see the polarized sides in a way that I could not do so prior to my spiritual awakening. Therefore, it gives me tremendous ability advantage to be able to find that balance point on the teeter-totter of any spectrum in a world that has become so dualistic and polarized that I find it hard to believe that there aren't more important skill sets for somebody who's looking to not only speak about things, but to take action in terms of, you know, it's not just blind criticism. It's criticism coming with little ideas of just Alyson, yes, but what I can do directly, because that's what's the most efficient thing. Not hiding behind all these massive numbers of and layers of hierarchy and middle people with everything hidden. No, I'm here to stand tall in how much more efficient and effective we can be with fill in the blank, but let's just stick with work. And um I have to start standing in these things. And I lost my train of thought. That's okay. I'm going to keep going. Just let me reverse it back. So we know we need to talk about Chicago, and that's going to be from the feminine, strong feminine side with the strong masculine, that part of Alyson, directed at the 10 women that I want to invite to support me at the $4 a month level on Patreon. I need to capture that video, preferably before I go to Canada. And there also happens to be, let's flow right into that. Man, so whew, holy shit! Like this is the energy that, see, it comes up here because there's an element of this story that also speaks to those women, but from very different perspective. This one is from the sort of, see, I'm drawn to call it the romance perspective, but it's not. Like, I don't think there is a romantic connection with this man who has, back in March, really blew open an energy line to my heart that was comprised of a certain combination of notes that hasn't been played or heard or received or out there for my heart in a long time. I don't think it's romantic. I think that there's a whole another tangent I could go off on that, on how we mistaken romance feelings for that it feeling of love. And as part of the evolution of the species, it's also going to include a very conscious evolution of love, and particularly how mucked up we've gotten that down here, and all the rules we have on expressing it, between the genders, between opposite genders, between same genders. And then Jesus, that goes to a whole new level of late with how mixed up the gender thing has become, which is nuts to me. This is why I can't be afraid to start talking, because it's just it's only going to get crazier if people don't understand they get to make a choice. You get to make a choice. We are chock full. Everything's on the table for you to choose. This is free will time. What do you want your life to be? What kind of collective do you want to be a part of? You do not have to settle for anything out there, but you do need to make the decision of what you want to settle for or not settle for. You need to make that choice. You need to live what the frequency of that choice is in order to draw in others who are also living, breathing at that frequency, and understanding that that frequency can look and does, and we want it to look very, very, very differently between people, between individuals. It's like the musical note going through the instruments. A C note through a saxophone sounds different than a C note through a clarinet, through a trumpet, through an oboe, through a French horn. We want those notes. It's the note that sounds unique to the instrument. We are being asked to sing our notes metaphorically with our life, paint our notes metaphorically with our life, and as such, be that unique vessel, that unique instrument that our bodies, our personalities, our souls, those combinations are. They're all unique instruments. And as crazy as it sounds to have an orchestra comprised of 8 billion, if that's how many humans are down here, I have no idea. But let's just say, for argument's sake, 8 billion different instruments. Yes. Yes, and we're not all intended to play 8 billion of us at once. We come and we live our lives in these smaller segments of groups and communities, harmonizing. We're being called to harmonize. You can't fucking harmonize until you fucking tune your own note, tune your own instrument. And that requires a lot more deeper dives within than looking to everything outside of you to help you understand you. You gotta reverse it. Everything is in the inverse right now. Everything. And that's why I also have to speak. It's like, It's absurd. Listen, I get it. You want to think that red and blue still matters. That's fine. But man, oh man, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty certain that that unit, that system is not unifying. It's a divisive system. It was created. It's divisive. It's become, maybe it wasn't created to be divisive per se, although I would argue that it was. I don't think anything about it has been ever about representing the greater truth of who and what we are as human beings, and souls having these, physical experiences. But the essence of us is non-physical. We have a lot more ability down here to co-create with much more awareness and understanding. And that's been overlaid, that's been blocked in no small way by our political system. But fine, listen, again, where I'm going, I'm going to a world where I don't care what you do. You want to keep buying into a system, but what's hard for my soul is that you believe that it doesn't matter energetically. Because listen, as great a heart as you have, as much money, as much you want to do out there, social justice, helping for equality, fill in the blank, you're giving all this energy to something that ultimately is using it to divide. So it's just, and like I really, honest to God, don't feel like this is an opinion. I feel like I'm reading the energy and just stating a fact. What all this, any good energy going into something that is led or guided or algorithmically set up to be quote on bad, or it's designed to be divisive. So you're going to put anything that goes into that system ultimately is going way more to divide people than to unify people. If you want to put your time, energy, and resources into that, have at it. But you're not. I just feel like that is an objective fact. What I said, because there are so few instances that you can point to anything in the political system being unified. So if it's not like, and again, I don't care to debate. Like you want to continue to convince yourself that it's any part of it is more unifying than not. Even if it was just 51% divisive versus 49% unifying, you'd still be, the net give is to something that's divisive. And all I'm suggesting is understand what your energy is going towards. That's all. And what you'll learn and what you'll realize pretty fucking quickly, if you haven't already, is you don't know anything. We really don't know what the fuck's going on in reality. A lot of times you don't really even know the people in your life that you think you know, because everybody's hiding behind masks. Everybody's holding back. Nobody is talking authentically, or very few are talking authentically because of all the consequences they feel like will come from with that. Again, another reason why I have to finally let go and live what I'm saying, be as authentic as I can be. And I'm already a highly authentic person, but admittedly, I've been holding back in huge ways from, and I can't hold back. It doesn't matter what from, because that's a whole nother tangent. All right, so we're going to drop that one. Again, I don't care that this is all a flow. I don't care. Now, back to the Chicago thing. Sorry, I digressed, as I will do. Going back to Canada, the man that for whom I'm working. Oh my God. Oh my God, with the energy. Part of me at the altar was called, I thought what was going to come through was a hyper-focused talk about trying to give voice to what I would love to attract when I see him again next week, because I had absolutely no idea if or when I would get to interact with him after leaving Canada 3 weeks ago, or whatever it's been now, 3-4 weeks. I had no idea if and when there'd be a time where I'd cross paths with him again. I absolutely did not expect it to come in this way. When it came in this way, I wasn't even able to do it. It took the stepping in of my business partner, which absolutely did trigger me and piss me off for a minute that he did that. But I am so grateful that he did, because it allowed for actions to take place on my behalf that now allow me to go up there again. And his energy, if I could just state it succinctly, I would love to experience even the smallest of a validating energy that shows me from his free will perspective, he has to initiate something in the smallest of words, phrases, observations. Like it does it minor, a minor, but it's got to be something coming from him to me that acknowledges this deep connection that I feel, that, and I'm taking action on it, and I'm expressing directly to him, and he's receiving it on a certain level, but not the full level. And I think a part of him believes and knows and understands that I'm tapping into something he's very unfamiliar with, in terms of sort of because it can very easily be misconstrued as like kissing his ass or blowing sunshine up his ass. And I'm not fucking doing that. I do not fucking do that. But I'm going to tell you, if I think like I'm like, this fucking guy is an insanely incredible leader in the way that he leads by example. He is a very impressive, influential energy, and I'm not going to hold back from, and he affected my life dramatically, with the smallest of things that he asked me when I first met him. And I will share that real quick, because it was so, because I'm so used to not having the people closest to me really appreciate me and take me for granted. And listen, a big part of that's my own fault, because I never shut the fuck up. Like in my past, especially, I didn't give the other side of the relationship time to, because I had all kinds of reasons why, but mostly, some real abandonment issues, real issues with just being knocked down with my ideas and my energy by the fear of the people closest to me. It wasn't that the people closest to me didn't want to love and support me, but the fear always trumped it. Their fear is what motivated their lack of being able to really be in my corner. And therefore it resulted in, as I look back now, because I look at the patterns of the closest relationships in my life and how I've healed them in the past, decade plus, and what they've revealed. And I'm still in the midst of one right now with trying to be friends with my ex, because that connection is a very deep soul connection, very deep. And so it's very challenging to cut ties completely. Yet the lessons I'm learning are extremely deep and nuanced and hard. He is the representation of all the deepest wounds from this physical life, this lifetime. And he is a prime example of somebody that I feel still in the present moment absolutely takes me for granted. I know he cares about me. I know he cares a great deal about me, but he does not hear me when I speak from the deepest. He does not accept my story. He tries to impose his version of my story, and mostly it's because he's lazy. He doesn't want to do the work that would allow something us to meet at a different level. And it's that's not a judgment thing, it's an energy thing. And because that's still so close, I understand now the root of that. And the root of it, people close to me, I haven't experienced what I now am able to know that I want, and what I'm able to be on the side of the equation to draw it in. Meaning, you got to have the other side of the relationship matters. You can't do all the work for it, Alyson. And I was doing all the work for all my relationships. I was just so used to doing all the work. And this also speaks to where I'm at with my whole soul's calling. I know nobody specifically is asking me to hold the space for the vision that I'm working to hold the space and to bring in the physical manifestation. But I know no one's asking me. I know but and I don't need it to happen from any validation on the physical level. what I'm here to do is on a soul level. And it you can't argue that what my goal is with what my dream is. The whole thing is to unveil a system, quote unquote system, a network that allows it to be just a bit easier than it was for me to do what I did. I woke up and I realized I was smack dab in the middle of a life that I had none of it was of my conscious making. And then I had the awareness and remembrance that I get to make this up. But then I had the hard work of doing that, rewiring my brain, really uncovering what are the true, honest, deep, whole reasons, motivations for my choices. Who am I at the deepest of level to understand what and how, why I created what I did and how I can reverse it? I'm sorry. There's nothing more powerful than that for anybody out there who has the awareness to want that. And that's who I'm here for. I'm not here to make you feel bad if the system and you're using the systems and that works for you and you feel great and you're thriving. That's fantastic. And if you get triggered, which you will, not many within that system, especially the ones at the top, can hear what I have to say and not be triggered by that, because it's instilled in them from the competition that there must be, and wait a second, she's coming at me at the same level that I'm at, but she's making it sound like it's a very different picture. And if I got to this level doing a bunch of shit that I didn't really want to do, like it threatens everything. It threatens the whole path. I'm not intending to do that. I'm not intending to upset you, but I know that I do because I'm surrounded by extremely accomplished people within the system. So I've experienced this energetic exchange with only a very few having the courage to say that this is what they were feeling. But enough of them have said that this is what they're feeling, that it's validated what I already knew was taking place because I could feel the energy. What I knew was taking place in terms of their thought process and what they were thinking and feeling, and how it really wasn't about me, it's about them, but it was directed at me. And how do I know that? Because it's the pot calling the kettle black. Because as a high achieving person, we're conditioned. We're the biggest servants to this grand illusion of the current systems, what I call mainstream society. The biggest, the ones that are being used the most are the smartest and most accomplished. That's it. That hasn't been accidental, the design of it. So that's why I say to you all, if you're getting triggered, don't fucking put that on me. If you don't know what your power is serving, that's on you. And if you're automatically thinking, if you haven't taken the time to really slow the fuck down, which most of you at the top don't have that. In fact, you're superhuman on the surface. You guys are the ones that are at the top of your careers. You're outstanding moms and dads. You have a great relationship. A lot of you are holding all kinds of powerful things on the surface level. But that doesn't really give you a whole lot of time to dig very deep into anything. And this isn't a blanket statement across for everybody. It's just saying I know how threatening what I'm talking about, what I've done is to powerful people. And it just so happens most of my network is made up of extremely powerful, achieved people. But I know I'm not the only one in that network for whom that current system doesn't resonate for one way or another. And it's those people. Again, another target market, the entrepreneurs, the dreamers, the misfits, the ones that had that couldn't, the artists. That's the voice. That's another target market. Each Patreon donation level will have a different target market. Target, like meaning an aspect of Alyson that I really hyper focus the videos to, that aspect, thus appealing to anybody who shares that aspect, that characteristic. If it's type A, if it's overachieving, if it's as an athlete, if it's as a leader, if it's as a female, if it's as a female that's experienced divorce, a female that has experienced any other of the specific things, I will have customized shares that speak to the energy. It's time to speak to the energy. Now back to the Canada guy. Being able to validate what I feel. There is something deep. And I believe I have an idea to start us off to try to bring voice, because a lot of times these energy combinations, not a lot of times, fucking all the time, the nuances of these energy combinations are like the infinite ways you can paint different colors together, put different colors together, and put different musical notes together for composition. For me, the orchestra, like, it's like the energy for me is all of that. It's color, it's sound, it's feeling, it's smell. It's like I don't know what I'm some kind of crazy different kind of artist. And yeah, the nuances of the feelings are hyper unique. And so to bring voice to it, I can't bring voice to the nuance at a general level. That's why I have to start breaking it down to groups. And in this case, it's like to this man individually. Like, there is a powerful, and I believe if he could just validate, and if he just listened to this one message, which I recorded to him a private thank you message, and I'm 99% certain he hasn't listened to it. And it's so interesting because he validated into me in a way that none of the guys I'd ever been worked with within the event industry. It was in a unique way, because I have been validated and am validated by a lot of men in the event industry, but not at the top level. And again, I have very, very, real insight and experience and opinion of why that's the case. This guy is a top guy. He's a top guy, and he's older than me. And I've always been drawn to men older than me. And he's about in that range where, it's like 7, 8, 9 years older than me is like, yeah. So, but I'm not drawn like this to many people because, it's every sentence I fucking say. Every sentence I say could go on its own tangent. I'm bouncing. Just bounce. Just bounce, bounce, just bounce. Um, I need to shift out of Chicago right now quickly. And I need to shift into Canada, round 2. Because I know how how powerful having the intentions are. And then of course not being married to any of it. I no expectation. It doesn't, none of it, if it doesn't happen, it's fine. But I would love an interaction with this guy that goes one notch up, where he shows me that he understands I'm not just blowing sunshine up his ass. And the magnitude of what I'm reflecting back to him is real. And it's as an equal, but it's in an encasement he's not going to recognize or understand. And so it's going to require some chatting through if he's drawn to it. And he's a guy that just doesn't slow down. He's very focused on his dreams, like a lot of men are, and very powerful men. And not very many very powerful men are able to hold the space for the powerful woman when it's divine feminine energy that is most needing, wanting to come through, and looking for somebody to help in that regard. It's like, help her. I don't have words for it beyond that. It's just all the powerful men I've met have always had the of how can I use her to help me? Whereas most of the powerful women I've met have had the exact opposite. We naturally want to just help move, like we just want to help, and we want to, move things and have compassion and affect, we take more into consideration the feminine energy. It's not as myopic. And we just naturally don't get as wrapped up on the trust issues and the money part and all that stuff. And this world is asking that, and is masculizing the feminine, and it's feminizing the masculine in a very, I'm sorry, but it's not balanced. It's not accurate. Let's just say that. And we're losing the essence of the balance, the divine feminine. And I haven't met a man yet. My partner is the closest I've gotten, my business partner. He's very open to it, but he does not, he says it all the time. He calls me the air. He's the earth. He can't go up to the air because he can't do what he has to do on the earth if he goes up to the air. But then there you go. He's not up in the air. He cannot appreciate and value all of me. He can appreciate and value the part of me that comes down to help him with his vision. But he's not able to know what I need and want to most help me at the same level. I need that support in my world right now. And I need it, the other women, not surprisingly, all of us, almost across the board, that are similar in that regard. We don't have our own resources. And the opportunities that we're being given, most of them are not really in a clean way, meaning we can bring our greatest energy, but it's not going to serve us the most. It's going to serve a system, a boss, a company more than it's going to serve us. And there's parts of us that we can't deny that are rising right now that won't allow that to happen, where it's almost like it's like kryptonite, like you can't, it's not kryptonite, because kryptonite sometimes can be put in front of you beyond your control. This is like choices in our control. I know two women that have recently stood up in their places of employment, and I will say it's because of the energy that's rising. That's like, I cannot give the best of me and not be valued and appreciated in the way that I'm putting out. Like, I have to stand up for myself. It's not surprising. And we're all in our 40s and we're all females, and none of us yet has really had the chance to shine as bright as we're able to. And we don't need the shine for the external validation. We need the shine for our souls and what we're able to do. We're able to do so much. And yet we're made to feel like what we want to do is valued less because we can't plug it into an economic equation. And because you guys can't wrap your heads around that there might possibly be a way to live in a world on a more pure energetic exchange that goes beyond the dollar. You fucking guys can't get out of that long enough to you can't even be open to a way using the dollar that's just using the dollar with different energy that's right in front of you. In my idea, Ripple 2020, I haven't had a single man that really gets it. I'm not saying those men aren't my life. I'm just saying I haven't had the conversation and the actual words or somehow in something that they're demonstrating. It's like when you're a teacher in the classroom. You know it when a kid's nodding their head that they get something, but they don't fucking get it. You fucking get it. And then when they actually get it, you see, holy shit. And it's an awesome feeling. It's a fucking awesome feeling to be somebody that, not from a hierarchy control better than place, gets to guide somebody else to something quote unquote true. True for them, true from a greater stance, just true. Real, true, deep. And I am very much longing for a powerful man to validate me from the air. I've got, I'm super grateful. I've got strong earthbound guys, but still not the closest to me. The strongest, the men closest to me are not engaged in the world. Their feminine energy is actually stronger than their masculine, and they just aren't the men that I like spend the most time with. When I look at like, well, okay, I'll say it this way. My social life is purposely, and it's very, very, very limited. If I'm not at a gig, I am mostly alone. I'm very, very selective in my time and what I interact with, very selective. And because I'm still very much wanting and needing to get off the ground with my world of work, I do not want any energy unless I have to be out in the world. I want all the energy that when I get to choose, to be serving me on that mission. And very, 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 very few humans are able to see and support what I could say, what I would need from outside. I don't need the pats on the back from the 3D perspective. I need either a real understanding, which is super rare from the air perspective, the higher beyond this reality perspective, or I need somebody with genuine openness that may completely not fucking understand what a thing I'm saying or doing or get it or care. They're just open to being like, because they know and trust that I'm not ever trying to infringe upon their life or take advantage of them, or, the goal here is working to bring into manifestation a system and ways and multiple opportunities for everybody to have an easier time. Not to say it's going to be easy, because it's not. An easier time than I did to step out of the limited reality, the overlay of the negativity, step out of the matrix and step into something that's just a little bit more true. I don't claim, never will, that I have all the answers. But I certainly fucking understand at the level that I have directly experienced it with my own life. I understand the magnitude of the falsehood that we are living within. And I understand the magnitude of what is being blocked. And I'm here to help unblock it within myself, and by extension for anybody else that's willing to own their life at that level and say, I am going to make the dream life. I am going to co-create with others my dream life. Because absolutely possible. Absolutely possible. And we don't ever have to settle for anything less. And you are not alone to believe that. You aren't. And it is a very different world than living in the world as somebody enslaved and constricted. And man, made even more difficult because it looks so different. Each of those scenarios looks from one end of the spectrum to the other, meaning you got the richest fucking people in this world that are miserable, and the poorest people in the material world that are genuinely blissful and happy. And the world that's fast out of control is stealing away the opportunity for simple lives. You're bullying it with your fucking money and your fucking power and your fucking nonstop need to overachieve and produce with your wounded masculine energy that's now being siphoned through women, made even more complicated, where we're cheering a woman on who all she's doing is being a man energetically. She's forgetting that's no different. You're forcing and stealing away the opportunity for people who want simple, blissful lives. And I refuse to believe that there isn't room for those of us who want simple, blissful, real, conscious lives. No, I know it exists, but it's at a different frequency level. And the trains are separating. It's time to choose. The trains are leaving the station. They're all moving kind of slow. Bashar, this is a Bashar metaphor that's fantastic. They're all leaving. They're all leaving. They're real close on the tracks. They're barely starting to. If you want off one train, I mean, still not easy for a lot of people, especially in America with fat Americans. It's just insane how many would not be able to hop off a train and get right back on another one. But even if you were able to, in that small likelihood, you don't have a lot of time to get off one and get on another, and damn near not enough time to get off two. You're choosing what train. Not to say it's ever impossible to get yourself off of another train once it's really rocking and rolling and super out of sight from all the other trains, but it'll be harder. And it is going to get a hell of a lot harder than it already is to break free, to get off of this other train. So it's time for me to allow my life to represent fully what it is in this moment, how much I'm off of that other train. And that's what I'm stepping into. And this is all the ways that it looks and can be shared. And it's a lot. Yeah, Alyson talks a lot. She does. But it's time to be a little bit more deliberate in the talking, in the sharing, and with, I've been waiting for others to place their own dominoes, and we collectively create a metaphorical domino creation that we all are going to enjoy when we knock it down and watch it flow when we execute it. But I've got too many dominoes to wait on others. I got to build my own domino thing, knock it down, and by virtue of that, I'm going to attract other people with their dominoes, and we're going to get to go build a fantastic, even bigger. And it's not from the bigger is better. Bigger meaning it can affect more people. It can affect more people. And decentralized, from a decentralized. That's also important concept. And I'm just trying to shift the energies also to Canada because I would love to get some acknowledgement from this dude that he's picking up on this same. I know he is. I do. I know he is, but I know because he wants me around. And but what I don't know is, does he want me around because I've said some really nice things to him from a level that I don't think he gets, but it felt good and also maybe a little uncomfortable because he expressed that as much in one of the texts I've sent, and I've only sent like a couple, one thank you video and two texts prior to texts related to the gigs themselves. And like I said, I don't think it's romantic. I think it is a collaborating work thing because pretty sure he's single and doesn't have kids. I'm single and don't have kids. My work is very different than his work, but it's the center of my universe. It is my baby. And I believe that's how he treats work as well. And I believe that is the connection that I'm feeling. Very deep passion for what he chooses to spend his time doing. Passion. That's what I want to harmonize with him and get to know a little bit better within him. Miracle if it happens this trip, but maybe this trip leads to another. I don't know. But I want to be in the best energetic place to be able to be at the frequency to receive it if and when he meets me up there at that frequency. All right, enough for now.